Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Coding. In this episode, we're gonna create this setup that's generate some kind of mountain. I learned this earlier. I saw this by Jacques on animation nodes. This setup, there's this expression node used to actually build this kind of a noise pattern. This setup is actually very cool. At some point, we can, in Sverchok, probably try to use this animation nodes module as well. We can do it this way. But for today, I'm just going to use the vector turbulence in Sverchok. So I will be using Sverchok for this. You can use either animation nodes or Sverchok. For animation nodes, you can follow this setup by Jacques. So this is the setup right here. This is actually a video. It's animated GIF. We start with the grid mesh. So in Sverchok we also have grid mesh, and so let's do that. I'm gonna save this real quick. Let's drive ESV. I call this mountain simple 001, and let's do a plane. We can actually do this in many different ways, but it's actually fun to try out many possibilities. Okay, so this is our plane generated in Sverchok. By default, it's generating plane this way. Okay, that's 10 by 10. You can center it if you like, and you can normalize it. It's up to you. I just keep it like this for now. And here, in animation nodes, vector math is used, and there's an expressions to generate the functions, the values, which is gets piped back into the Z. It's just to control the height. So we can kind of doing similar thing in Sverchok already. If we are using a rewire, so vector rewire with this set to scalar, this can actually control the ups and downs of a vector, in this case points, and we can kind of randomize the scalar with the scalar value. So if we are using like a random number, so random number floating value between minus and 1 or something like that, and then increase the number. So we are generating random number, so we can have this. So we already know this. Scalar value can be anything, can also be noise type, something like this, set to scalar, pipe into this guy, Perlin, Voronoi, or whatever. If you are increasing the points number and then set the steps to small value, you start to get some kind of a mountain similar to this. What's new about this in animation nodes is the noise library. I can see here that animation nodes library is being used inside expression, so that's really cool. I'll try to do that at some point. For now in Sverchok, let's try doing turbulence, vector turbulence. The points coming from the plane nodes itself, and then the output's going to be scalar. This is for the Z value. So this vector turbulence will generate something that's more like a mountain, and it can be like super high detail. It's almost like if you are using a micro displacement in Blender, you get like even more high details if you combine the two. So you start with a surface that looks like this, and then you use a shader in cycles that generate a mountain texture also, and it's gonna get like super beautiful fractal kind of a mountain surface. For what I'm doing here, I actually like this gradient thing that's Jacques created. I think it's using cycles shader. So let's try that. So instead of just a viewer, I want to output a actual surface. So it's a viewer dmesh. I'm gonna output. So all these mesh data gonna be outputted as a real mesh like that, and by default it's a block queue like this, but we can smooth it and calculate the normal, and we can perhaps increase the number. It's 40 by 40. It's not smooth yet. Perlin, we have a couple others. Let's try using Blender one. Now let's see if we can perhaps multiply this scalar value. So, subdivide, of course, will make this better. But I'm just gonna keep it like this for now, and then switch to compositing cycles. I'm gonna give this a material, new material, and let's look at the setup. So now we are in the cycles shader creations. We want to give it a texture coordinate. Generated is usually fine, and we want to map the texture. I believe we can rotate the shader this way. So generated, maybe object vector goes into this guy, but we need a gradient and color ramp to recolor our gradient. So this setup is something that's if you're using Python code, I think really good for. You can generate nodes simply by using Python scripts. So let's preview this real quick. So our gradient seems to be working, but not in the, whoops, Blender stopped working. I'll have to reload it. Hopefully I saved it. Cool, I did save it. So now we are in full screen anyway, and texture objects is our objects. This one, I'm still sometimes have to guess. I think normal. This is a normalized one, and we can to rotate this guy 90 degrees. Okay, let's give like some kind of linear. We cannot move it. I think switch back to vector. Have to think. Maybe I need to use point 90 degree. Okay, probably this is how Jacques is doing it. So shading, okay, that's red, blue. This is a really nice gradient color. Just gonna follow that as well. Plus, and you can actually use Python to do this as well for the color ramp. This one's gonna be green, bluish, and then white for the snow. It's kind of nice. Now we just need to tweak the color, less saturated. It's all like kind of like the learning work in progress thing. It takes time to make something looks nice. Oh, with the color, I think you can copy paste as well in Blender. When you have color, you can Control C and then you can hover a color, Control C and then paste it. That's really cool. And this gonna be that kind of color teal. Okay, so slightly, it's getting there. Copy, paste. Okay, so there you go. That's our mountain. Okay, now back to Sverchok. So we have this setup. I'll call this simple mountain, or I just call it Jacques mountain, and amplitude control that height. So there's a ramp kind of going from here to there. I'm not sure if I'm doing the cycles ramp properly. Maybe this is correct, or maybe it can be improved, but I'm just using this setup for now. Sverchok, let's tweak this. We can use Voronoi. Actually, cell noise a little bit weird. Neoperlin. Okay, I like just the Blender one. So that's increasing the mountain. It's amplitude, and then I believe we can also play with the vector math in here in the plane, for the plane, and then use a multiply by scalar. So that's controlling the noise scale. So we can have something like this, increase our details. 150 by, oops, actually too much. 200 by 240,000 points of mountain generated on the fly. And that's with higher noise, and this with a lower number. And then we can increase this mountain height. Let me try 10. So that's now all white. Probably need to adjust the shader now. Cycles needs to still to study cycles now. Location scale, maybe increase the scale. That's actually making it smaller. So if I go the opposite, seems to be correct. There's also this minimum and maximum, maybe for the mapping. So this is I think this is really nice. So this is a really good example of how you could work procedurally using nodes-based system like animation nodes, and there's a Sverchok one. Also, I found it really for me. I really like modeling in Sverchok, so it's very handy. And you can also at the same time using cycles and procedurally generate the shader like this. Just a simple example, but a really good one. Thanks to Jacques for showing this for us on the Twitter. I recommend you to follow him and have a look at some of his example works for animation nodes. And there's also so many examples nowadays. So yeah, hopefully you find this useful. Let me know what you think. Any comment, suggestion, and let me know please in the comments. Thanks again. I'll see you next time. Bye.